Last time, on Asmiliath adventures. Finding their souls returning back to reality, the Golden Hearts complete their mission to save the possessed mind of Lady Alarice. As our party and the long-lost noblewoman come to terms with what has happened, the eager maid Lendra is informed that our heroes are in fact not the soul guides they had claimed to be. Decker breaks off to help calm the confused servant as Jarek and Valoran begin to speak with the damsel they had saved. At first it is difficult to gain any insight, as the elderly woman comes to terms with all the years she has missed, learning that her child has died, and a grandchild that she never met had been taken from this world. Thankfully, Jarek appeals to her diplomatic nature, drawing forth the still proud and noble powerhouse that the lady had been before her possession. Beginning an actual dialogue, the party learned that Novin had been switched as a child due to his terrifying inclination towards violence. But as the boy became a man, his evil tendencies seemed to fade, causing Varium to threaten exposing the secret, ultimately leading to her demise. Now being faced with a potential end to her family's name, Lady Alarice learns about the plague in Kralin and formulates a plan to return home. Departing on good terms with the old noblewoman, our party set off towards Freesight City to answer the king's call. Their name is recognized when they arrive in the militarized capital, getting a makeshift parade of royal soldiers directly to the palace at the center of the city. Entering the palace, our heroes are left waiting a short time before they are brought before the king. Surprisingly, he is rather well informed about their adventures thus far, referring to their deeds and discoveries about the yellow-eyed man. Accepting this man as a genuine threat, he gives our heroes the recognition they have been craved for so long, and charges them with the duty of building up an organization to combat this new threat. Departing their meeting with the king, our heroes find themselves gifted with the company of the king's oldest bastard, Sir Brandon Campbellton, and a line of credit worth 15,000 gold pieces. Overwhelmed with the opportunity they had been given, our party retired to a small dining hall to attempt to formulate a plan, finding out that agreeing on a path forward is not as easy as they hoped. It is January 14th, as our party recover from a long night of conversation and planning, having retired to the grand halls of the Palace of the Sky for a good night's rest. Determined to condense their ideas into a singular plan, Sir Campbellton gathered our heroes back into the dining hall to pry their refreshed minds. With everyone gathered and presented with an elegant spread of a breakfast, the middle-aged knight begins to speak. So, with you all kind of spread on this modest, again, modest is a loose term for a place such as this, dining hall, breakfast table, he's kind of stood there with a notepad. There's been several pages that he's scribbled on and crossed all out and gone back, and there's like roosters and chickens written throughout some of the pages, but eventually, as he's sitting there before you all, he's like, "Alright, just to be clear, that we all know exactly what I am going to do for today, because we have to actually get the ball in motion. We are setting up 12 individual spies that are going to go somewhere. We'll work on that. Then we need a scholar, a healer, a warlock, and a spy. It sounds like the start to a very bad joke if you ask me. 3 scouts and 5 caravan guards. Do I have that right?"
I thought it was just a scholar, a healer, and a warlock.
You are correct, Lord Valoran. That's why we double-check such things.
Would it be possible to find a warlock who's proficient in healing and is a bit of a scholar?
I imagine so, but he might, request more funds than our dear Mayor Dissel is ready to part with.
It's a good plan.
I will make it my sole job for the day to get these things started. I imagine that it might take some time to gather the people that are accompanying us, so there will be several days that we are here in the city if you have business here before we depart, but the network that I guess we are setting up will start today and hopefully start passing on their information once they get to their destinations that are to be determined. But I shall leave you for the morning then. Enjoy your breakfast and prepare yourself for the journey ahead, and I shall get to it.
Very good, sir.
Golden Hearts. And he kind of bows his head and makes his way to the door.
After he leaves, After he leaves, just Valoran sort of looks at everyone else over the table. Are we really going to do this?
Do we have a choice?
Do what? Buy an army?
No, hand over the crown.
Oh, that. I think it's a good idea. It's not ours, really. Kings get mad when you have their shit.
Now, we don't have to return the crown right now if we don't want to, but it's just convenient that he's here and so are we. The only unfortunate part is that he probably won't be as gracious as he might be when we're not at war.
And I might just point out a small, minuscule point of order. We've discussed this crown openly, have we not?
More or less.
It's a fair bet the king already knows we have it. In my court, there's many places that people listen, hidden nooks and crannies that informants to my father like to hide, bring back unsolicited news.
I'm gonna start looking around.
You won't find it, though.
You don't know.
Or if he somehow doesn't know, he may find out in the near future.
So, all I'm saying, and I kind of look up at the wall, is I believe the right thing to do would be to bring it back to him anyway. Even though somebody might be listening to us, we were going to bring it back nonetheless.
It will be sad to part with it at this point, but I do not object.
And, I mean, really, he's gifted us with so much, I'd just let us keep the damn thing. For our purposes, who knows? Just, I would say let him know we have it. And how it's been
Don't know that he-
used to us.
I have to point something out. He can use it to help us. Getting the information out of that thing from him is going to probably make things just a little bit easier. I think that's probably the best reason, besides being good people, to get that back to him as soon as possible.
Do we ask for anything in
No,
return?
you don't make demands of a king. Bad
I
form.
received what I would have asked for.
Well, the only other thing that I could think of is if we can come to him with, like, you know, hey, is it possible for you to look back and see this thing?
Yes, absolutely. That's sharing of information. Him using the crown, yeah, absolutely.
Then
So then-
start. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, then JD could just send him a message. Be like, hey, I'm sure you're not busy doing anything. Can you just quickly look back in this crown at this specific point to see if you know anything about this? And then he can just reply to you. Then we get instant information.
Then should that be our first item on the agenda? Getting the crown up to the king, making our request, and then getting back into our preparations.
I think
Yeah.
so.
I believe so.
Then I should probably ask Campbellton to how to get an audience. I mean, I could message the king, but I don't think he's going to appreciate that, being bothered directly.
Wasn't there somebody who Oh, was he the one that let us in? I can't remember.
Oh, the head servants. From
Yeah, we could ask them.
Probably best to ask Pencilson.
Was he still here? Is he gone?
Chase him down.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, is he within eyesight? If not, I'm just gonna send him.
I think we can just ask to see the king. He won't decline, and when he sees why, he won't be the least bit irritated.
Nobles do what nobles do. Go ask to see the king. You could be one
Alright.
day.
I'm gonna get up and just go find somebody.
Okay. Yeah, if you ask any sort of servant nearby or some guard in the hall, get the message up the chain at some point. You probably, again, have about half an hour to an hour of waiting, picking away at your breakfast, kind of preparing for what's to come, telling you that they'll come gather you when he's ready. So eventually, as that time passes, a servant would come and gather the group, bring them back into the throne room. He's sat on that white, polished throne up on the little pedestal that he functions on. He's currently now putting on his riding gloves, where previously you'd been watching him take them off yesterday when you arrived. But he's watching you all kind of curiously, like he doesn't, unless you guys told them specifically why you're approaching, which I imagine you wouldn't at this point, correct? Yeah.
No.
And in fact, whoever is carrying the thing, I might ask, we could cover it with a cloth or something, and not just march into the room with it.
And so Thor, you have it?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you all approach, kind of being ushered in by the servant that you were talking to before he bows out respectfully, the king kind of watching you approach would eventually call out, "Golden Hots, I did not expect a check-in so soon."
Your Majesty, preparations go well. But that's not why we have returned. There is an object which we have over time began to suspect the importance of, and we have come to present it to your Majesty.
And we waited, sir, to do it in private, so that only your eyes would be on it.
Well, you have filled me with immense curiosity.
Or if you don't mind.
I will take out the cloth crown.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like a magician pulling a cloth from a table, just.
So he's probably maybe about 40 feet away from you all, and also kind of on a more elevated platform. So he'll peer down from the throne and kind of look across the group, kind of squint his eyes at it.
I'll minor illusion it to make it larger.
Well,
So
I was just gonna start walking forward.
Okay. Watching the strange display of the crown slowly growing in Thor's hands as he gets closer. I've heard that the Golden Hearts are rather jovial. Is this some jest?
No, my king, this is not a jest. We actually we found this in a cave that we were exploring. Not sure if you know anything about some two-headed Sam or something like that, but yeah, so he had a cave and we went through all of his stuff and he had treasure, and there was this crown that, hold on, I'm coming, and then I'll start walking over to him. You may recognize it once you get a little closer.
So we'd hold up a hand when you approach the bottom of the little podium elevated area that he's on, and actually get up from his throne. He's kind of finishing tying the little leather straps for his gloves. Takes a few steps down. Kind of, again, this man is about 7 feet tall. He's a very large, imposing figure, so being a little bit taller than you on the staircase is kind of leaning over you a little bit, and he just reaches down very gently to pick the crown up, and he then again eyes the group with a little bit of suspicion before he starts kind of turning it around in his hand. Double-headed Sam, the story for children. But you've found his cave?
Well, yeah, he actually has a sword that I gave to Decker because obviously, I use bigger weapons. But yeah, it seems like maybe your old crown washed up onto a cave of some sort.
He kind of has this, like, light chuckle, still not clearly believing that this is all true. He kind of puts it in both of his hands, twirls it again, kind of looking over the little stained glass scenes in each of the little, like the north, south, east, west corners of the circlet. And he looks back up at you again, looks over to Valoran to be the most respectable converser of the group. This certainly can't be the crown. Is he serious?
We invite your majesty to test it.
Well, I don't think that you would make such a blatantly false claim with me being able to disprove it, so, I mean, you must be telling the truth.
It has been quite helpful to us, Your Majesty. We've used it on a number of occasions.
You've used it?
Absolutely.
Jarek will kind of waddle forth. Your Majesty, I assure you, we have even spoken with the god who assisted in its creation, Ophilus. This is the lost king, or the lost crown of Giles' kingdom. We do not seek to amuse you. This is in interest of our quest to stop Tordan. With this, you can access the memories of your ancestors from the time of the Great Entrance. We humbly beg you to cast aside your disbelief and just see for yourself.
But,
well, Mayor Dissel, you might not aim to amuse me, but there is no Ophilus attached to the creation of this crown. So I don't know what you are getting at, but I do know how it works. And kind of like... yeah.
I was just going to say. Also, I mean, that's how we knew what it was, because we tested it out. I just put it on one day, and then I was like, whoa.
So he kind of turns around and starts walking back up the few steps to his throne, kind of sitting down, and in silence just beginning to accept that this is actually happening. This is such a ludicrous chain of events to lead to the return of this immensely powerful artifact, and this ragtag group of misfits being the one to actually bring it to his doorstep. He sits back down, is kind of looking at it in awe. It is treason to wear the crown of memories if you are not of noble blood, but I suspect none of you knew that before putting it on.
I can honestly say I had no idea.
Thor is of noble blood, so for what that's worth.
Oh. But I'm not that noble.
Your Majesty, we
Would you prefer to use it in private, Your Majesty?
Well, I was going to get to the small speed bump in your plan. Whenever a new heir to the throne wears the crown of memories, the amount of memories, I guess you can say, that flood his soul puts him a bit out of commission, for lack of a better term, so...
You'll be busy for a bit.
And I do have a war to fight right now, which I can't exactly be dillying about with this, though I assure you there is nothing more than I want to put this on and look back. There's a huge vast swath of our history that has been forgotten. But I cannot put it on right now, and I imagine you all understand why.
Is there, I apologize if this is against decorum. Do you have perhaps your heir, who is not particularly busy and could spare the time?
It is, not part of our tradition to pass the crown on before the demise of the wielder. But it is the first time that we've had 2 crowns.
One for a king, one for a prince.
You give me a great
I
deal.
would have had no problem with that.
Whoa.
You all have given me a great deal to think over, and this is a very surprising gift to receive from a group so fresh as yourself.
But nobly intended, just to be
It
clear.
became apparent to us, Your Majesty, that where it truly belonged, and it was not with us.
Well, I don't think that I am overextending my generosity by giving you a blank request or a favor to ask of me. I know that I've already bestowed you with more than you bargained for, as far as my bastard has told me, but yes, if there is any request that you have, I guess now would be the time to ask it.
Your Majesty, may we hold on to that until we have...
Absolutely not so.
Fair enough.
Not
Aside from the
Crown.
magical... what?
I was going to say, not the crown. I'm not talking about the crown.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah. Maybe hold on to your favor until we understand exactly what we need.
I think that's a fair request.
In the meantime, we ask that you consider this the first of many happy returns on enlisting the Golden Hearts.
I'll say that I don't put a lot of blind faith in many of the people that I cross in this world. A lot of rather disappointing and lackluster individuals find their way to my doorstep, so when I say that I truly believe in your cause and your capabilities, I don't give that out lightly. So I hope that, again, yes, this is the first of a plethora of good news that you're going to bring me.
We thank your Majesty for your faith and patronage.
I appreciate your honesty in Golden Hearts. There, I imagine, are quite a few people out there that would pay a very immense sum to have their hands on this.
Its value in the war against Tordan is
Greater than
uncountable.
Yes.
Well, perhaps I will take the idea that you have presented and lean on one of my heirs. I'll have to think on it. But once I do gather the information that you seek, obviously, as leaders of our new task force, you will be the first to know. Really should come up with a name.
Your Majesty, do you employ a court wizard?
Of course.
Perhaps we can set up a schedule to maintain communications over distance with him.
That seems reasonable. I could have him send a message to one of you periodically.
Jarek is proficient.
It would be my honor.
All right. I will have him meet with you while you're still in town, and that way he can facilitate our communication.
If my companions do not object, I propose that this assembly be called the Golden Hand.
I love it.
Valoran, well done. Yes.
Can we have a
Rolls
hand
on
with
the tongue.
tables on it?
Your Majesty, one indulgence. If I've never drank beer with a king. Just that'd be something we could arrange at the conclusion of all of this.
I'll make you a deal, sir. Deal. It's early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. Do you know what coffee is, sir?
Have you heard of the Night Owl Brewery?
I have tasted it a few times, but it is, not my favorite.
My family owns it, and if there's some way we can improve it, send you over a batch.
Perhaps I will, note down my review and pass it along to you. But, as I was saying, I will make a deal with you, sir. If you bring a piece of this Dark Prince back to me and show the progress of your group, I shall share a drink with you.
Deal.
Well, Golden Hearts, I send you off yet again with my blessings, my goodwill, and my hopes and dreams.
Valoran just bows.
I'll bow in sync with Valoran.
I'll start walking away and then turn around and be like, I understand the griffin thing, but have you thought of a dragon?
Thor, your ideas are a sight to behold. I had never thought of such a thing.
No, but hear me out. There are griffins, right? But they're kind of squish. I could probably beat the griffin, But dragons, those things are tough. Even a tiny dragon.
Yes, that's an opponent that Thor could not beat.
Well, Thor, before you depart, I will inform you that usually when Blackbeak finds himself in battle, he has me upon his back, so I don't think your chances are favorable.
Maybe one day we'll have to test it out.
That would be considered treason, but I certainly welcome you to try.
It's called
Sure.
sparring, jeez.
Jarek is going to come and just try and pull Thor away. Stop trying to get his kill, goddammit.
I'm not trying to get us killed, I'm just saying, it'd be cool to fight the king.
Shut up. Not in the ears of the guards, God.
You do understand, Your Majesty, he means no harm.
I have pieced together that he is the muscle, not the brain of the group.
He's quite smart in some things. Just
I figured out friend!
as we usher him out.
Good gods, what have I done? But yes, you would have your elegant meeting with the king and passing on the crown. So, you guys have a standing IOU with the King of Giles.
I'm going to miss that thing.
It was good, but honestly, we used it a lot, and I couldn't think of anything else to use it on. At least not at the current moment. I'm not saying this super loud.
It. Let the past live in the past. We are done with what has happened. As far as his boon, I can't even imagine. I think we've already kind of gotten everything we need, and Jarek will gesture to the items across the party.
He would make a horrible businessman. I never have everything you need, Jarek.
Before long, we'll know exactly what to ask for. I'm sure of it.
I think we hold it, and then when we can think of something that we can't do, we know who can.
I mean, we could ask him to mobilize troops. If
No.
we should if we find a need.
He will not do that unless we have a good reason to do that.
We're fighting the god Thor.
But did nobody tell him that all the pieces are going to be together in like a year? Or however long now?
We'll take care of that whenever we meet with the wizard. If he's going to be the liaison. And we can let Campbellton know. Sir Campbellton, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, how do more people not know this prophecy is my real question.
Sure, over the centuries, it's been dismissed as a scary campfire story.
Look at Double-Headed Sam. He's only been, gone for a while, and most people think he's just a tale.
Well, now he is just a tale.
Oh, speaking of which, Jarek, I do appreciate you lending me the sword, but I'm going to see if I can find one a bit sharper. Give him back the double-headed Sam rapier.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'll start connecting with it, I guess, tonight.
Are you going to see the Magic Man?
I am. Would you care to join me?
Yes, always.
Anybody else need anything? See if I can go find a cup of my shit coffee along the way. Never been insulted by a king before. That was quite great, actually.
I spent more than enough yesterday.
I spent 0 money, and I still plan on spending 0 money.
Just a looky, Lou.
Yeah,
Shopkeeper.
I'm always there to just bug him, ask him about the prices of things, and then never actually buy anything.
Okay, alright. Well, then let me go first. So he's in a good mood when he's dealing with me, and then you can fucking bugger him off all you want.
Alright. Deal.
Jarek, did you want to get your ball identified?
I do, but let me DM question here.
Hey, I'm going to step out of the room right quick to identify my ball. I'll be right back.
I forget how you run this.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to have it identified, or can I just screw around with it enough over the course of a couple hours to figure it out?
You as a player can screw around with it to try and figure out what it does. I'm not going to let Jarek roll for it, or you can get it identified.
Ouch. That's really okay.
I can get it identified for you if you want.
Well, no, I mean, I'm about to go meet up with the court wizard because we have to meet face to face.
True.
I figure a court wizard would probably have identify in their spellbook.
No way.
Inconceivable.
a 3rd level spell.
I would never learn such a trivial spell.
So Jarek is going to the court wizard. His name is Gaglano, by the way.
Thank you.
And then Thor and Decker are going to Oldus and Valoran.
Actually going to follow Jarek for the time being.
Okay. Well, do either of you want to go first? Which group?
Let's buy some stuff.
Okay, Thor and Decker then. So making your way out of the palace and back into the general populace of the city. Again, going through any part of this town or this urban area, it is clear that everybody is more or less on edge. There's a lot less fanfare and celebration and general mumblings of someone's dress and why would she do her hairdo in that way? That's absurd. There is like this low frequency energy kind of running throughout the entire populace of Freesight City. It is clear that at any moment they're expecting the sky to open up for a siege to begin, for their loved ones and husbands and sons to go marching off to war. So it's not exactly the most bright town to walk through at this current moment. But making your way over to the more rural side, the western side of Freesight City, you would approach that somewhat familiar, kind of mangled, dead apple orchard with a strange stone cottage kind of set on the hill. Approaching the door, knocking on the little knocker, I'm assuming, correct?
Yep.
Little eyeball would come out of the knocker, look up at you, look over at Decker, look back up at you, and then snap over at Decker. And you'd see it kind of peer at Decker's frame, kind of moving up and down, and then back to Thor. I know you. I don't know
you. Oh, well, he's here to buy things.
Sell things?
Maybe.
All right.
Yes. We'll
The
sell
eye
you
would-
some gold for items.
The eye would roll back into the knocker before the door swings open abruptly and the little platform that you stand on gets shuffled inside and you're brought into basically the only place you can stand in this shop. And already there's the frailed, kind of like curled figure of Oldest in his floating cauldron, kind of looking at you both. One of the strange living plants on the wall kind of coming in, like twirling into his hair before he kind of like bats it off and then floats closer to you, staring Decker up and down again before his monocle kind of flips out of his forehead and into his eye. You're very shiny. That cloak is, You're looking to sell it, sir?
Seth, do you need the rapier?
What?
Do you need the rapier?
Double-headed Sam?
Yeah.
No, I'd never get close.
So we could sell that.
Well, you already gave it to me. You should have said that before y'all left.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do right now. He goes,
Commit to the part.
oh my god.
Well, no, I'm quite attached to it. I was not so much looking to sell anything right now.
Oh, it's a
Although
cloak.
I-
You can just unattach it to this little clasp on the shoulders.
I meant emotionally attached. They're quite precious to me. I've had it for a while. It's got me through some rough spots. But, more of a buyer today than a seller, sir.
I don't like you already, but okay.
But I like you.
That's odd. Nobody likes me, sir.
That's not true. I just said I like you. That means at least somebody likes you, and Thor likes you. Don't you, Thor?
This is my favorite shop I've ever been into in my entire life.
That is... And he's been to many shops, good sir. And this is his favorite.
This is not a shop, this is an emporium.
Exactly. It's a wondrous emporium. And you, sir, are the proprietor of said wondrous emporium. So again, you have at least two people in the immediate vicinity that quite like you. and would like to buy from you.
What are you looking to steal then?
Only the most wondrous of items. You see, sir, I am a world-renowned duelist. My instrument of death is a rapier. But I find myself in the unhappy circumstance of not owning one that is worthy of me. But now that I'm here, I'm sure you'll be able to solve my problems.
How long is your arm, sir?
About 34 and a half millicubits.
He kind of like
Or-
floats up beside you and holds his arm out straight along yours, and the comparison between this frail old man where his skin is like stuck to his sinewy muscles compared to Decker's much more robust physique is rather large. But he kind of holds his arm up, kind of like gestures and tries to get a rough idea of the length, and all right, and big man, have you decided to sell that sword?
No, but I do have a.
Shut up!
Oh no,
And then he floats off.
I'll be right back.
We're not within 120 feet of Jarek, are we?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think. Okay.
Decker, I'll be right back.
Are you going to the palace?
Yep.
Give me a con check. No, give me an athletics check.
Athletics? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can I smack him in the ass for an advantage? Or?
All right. So Thor is darting away. Oldest goes drifting off into his stuff. After a bunch of banging and clattering, and you see like a whole pile of potentially rather extravagant and expensive magical items toppling over with a big bang, he eventually pulls out this rapier. The like hand guard is incredibly intricate, and it's this white gold with a few like gems kind of set into the very thin design, but it's clear that this is a showy weapon, something that might have been designed for a king or a duke or a count of great renown. And he kind of looks at it, tosses it over his shoulder, and then digs back into the pile again. Comes out with another one. This one looks a little bit more rudimentary, but a lot better, like, balance. More, what's the word I'm looking for? Usable versus showy. And he kind of, like, flicks it around in his little frail hand, kind of turns it and and then starts floating back over to you. It's like, I think this one will be worthy of your prowess, sir. Kind of drops it in your hand.
Would you mind if I took it for a spin?
As long as you don't spin it into me, sir.
No, quite no cause for that. And
You can stab my pot.
your what?
My pot.
Your pot.
Yes.
Okay.
It's adamantium.
So I would stab his pot.
Okay, give me a attack roll. You get a +2 on it.
Get a 1. Get a 1. Get a 1. Alright.
Okay.
Roll a 5, get a 15. That's so awesome.
So you kind of flourish it a little bit, kind of not gesturing. I keep saying gesturing. Kind of getting a feel for the weight of it in your hand. Before you aim the tip in his general direction, he kind of like leans back in his floating pot to give you a bit more surface area, and you stab into it with somewhat of an adept strike, kind of sending him drifting about 5 or 10 feet away, as he kind of almost like rolls backwards into the pot before shifting himself back upright. I don't know about your prowess, but it certainly was a good strike, sir.
I have not had my coffee yet this morning, and not quite on my game, and yet the sword found its mark rather easily. I'd say it's magical in nature.
Yes, that is the point. Ha! The point!
You're quite sharp.
Ah! I'll give you a discount, sir. I enjoy your quick mind.
Okay, lay it on me. Let us begin our negotiations.
Well, the negotiation is I was going to charge you 2,000, and now I'll charge you 1,600, and you're taking it or you're leaving it.
That is where you're wrong, sir. Because I've quite enjoyed my time here. Quite enjoy you, and I'm love that we can be friends when you believe you have none. Going to give you 1,650 gold.
Trying to butter me up. I will tell you that it has no effect on me. Will not help you in the future.
That's what you think.
Inside check.
Yeah, I'll insight check him just for fun.
Okay. He is a very stern shopkeeper, and it's hard to determine whether or not he is being honest.
So, how long have you been in business? And I'm delaying trying to, well...
So he would begin, kind of subpar answering your questions. You would notice that whenever you would ask something or try and steer the conversation in a particular direction, he would somehow find a way to include some tidbit about an item and then drag it out of his back and start talking about it and going on the history of it and showcasing it and kind of having you hold it, and eventually you're holding 20 different magical items in your arms before Thor I'm assuming, to go get the rapier. Is that the plan?
Yep.
Yeah, and Jericho, are you giving it to him, sir?
Well, I have to get there first. I'm not giving it to him.
No, I mean, I was asking if Jarek would give it to you.
Oh.
Yeah. Jarek would just be like, yeah, whatever.
I would imagine he's attuning to it, and I just grab the hilt and rip it out and actually slice his hands.
Okay.
And I would kind of butter up. What is the shopkeeper's name?
Oldest.
You might have noticed that our large friend has gone missing. We wanted to indulge you in your preference for buying items. And we have a magical sword that you might find interesting.
Yes.
It's have you ever heard of Double-Headed Sam?
Yes, I've heard the stories.
Yes. Well, the stories have basis in fact, and this is his sword. And interestingly enough, when you slay something with it, about once a day or roundabouts, you can bring back a copy of that being that you've slain with it. It's quite weak, but effective.
That's what the ladies like to say about me.
The ladies are wrong. You're not quite weak, sir.
Holds up his sinewy arms where the smallest bit of a bicep flex happens. He's like,
There is absolutely no weak man that could run a shop of your caliber.
Emporium.
Precisely. Weak men do not run emporiums.
Indeed. What are you looking for the sword? How much?
Don't know. That's all part of the game. At least, its worth is beyond measure, really. It's a wondrous, fantastical item, but 15,000 would be a place to start.
One day I would like to visit the world you live in.
You're already there.
We shall see. So then, Thor returning back with the... Yeah, it would open up for you at the time of your return.
I'll just throw that.
And so I'll take it from him and unsheath it, show it to him, flourish it a little bit.
So we kind of look it up and down with his monocle, and you see him kind of like. Kind of floats back a few feet. 4,000.
I said 15.
Trivial mean. Trivial.
You said 6. I said 13, and then 8, and then 10.
6.
9. So that leaves us somewhere in the middle of about 9,000.
I'm pretty sure I just heard the big one say 6.
Big one doesn't know the difference between 6 and 60. 9,000 for the sword is reasonable. It's a bit less than what it's worth given its lineage.
Roll me a persuasion.
Do I get advantage for the 50 gold I gave him?
No. Kind of looks down at it, looks over at you, ponders for a moment. I drop my pen. 6.5 is the highest I will go.
Quite sorry, sir, but it's worth at least 8.5.
Well, then I will be sorry to see it go, but I imagine it will return like somebody that keeps showing up.
It will return at 8,500 at its bare minimum.
What? But
Thor, there's a reason I run a business that spans the continent and you don't.
I mean, apparently your coffee sucks. Apparently, that's all I'm saying.
Only one man's insignificant opinion.
Insignificant.
Quite.
7.5, and you get to look at my sword.
Now,
Well, I still want to know about it, though.
that told you.
I didn't.
It's Shard's Edge.
Yeah, but what is that?
It was wielded by the great general of Giles.
Oh, okay, cool, never mind. What about 7?
Hold on. How about
What?
6.5? Thor, I'm sorry, but you interrupted my negotiations.
What?
How about 6,500, as you proposed? But throw in some. My hands are cold. Throw in some gloves that do something magical. Anything. And I'll give it to you for 6,500 plus magic gloves of your choosing.
Deal! And he floats off towards the back of the
And
shop.
wait, it can't be a goddamn curse.
A curse is a boon, depending on who you ask.
Uh,
One man's curse is another man's treasure. And then he digs into his pile. So he would return with gloves of lubing.
what?
Once a day, you can produce a quart of lube that secretes from the surface of your gloves.
I can see many a happy ending with these gloves.
I'm sure they're well worn.
What do you think, Thor? Is it worth it, the gloves of lubing?
I think you would have paid 7.
Yes, but think of the fun we can have with all the lube this can provide. A quart of lube, that's a lot. Of
I
lube.
don't want to think about it. I just wanted the money.
6.5. And he starts counting out the gold from his massive sack of wealth.
Oh, when we get back to my palace, I'll give you 500 gold. Actually, this is the party's gold anyway, but I can backfill if it really is a problem.
Psh, I won this sword. Just
All right, so 6,500 and gloves of lubing.
Gloves of lubing.
Do they at least look cool?
Do they
Sure.
look well used?
Okay.
The,
All
the
right.
palms are very worn leather, yes.
All right, I'm gonna add the platinum to my stuff
Okay.
so that we keep track of it.
Then we shall hop over to Jarek and Valoran, unless there's anything else you guys need to do there. Okay. So, Jarek, if you would request to, I guess, meet with the head wizard of the wizard of the court, you would eventually be kind of the same process, told to wait a little bit until he has a time to see you. You'd probably wait for probably the rest of the morning, meeting him sometime around noon. But eventually you would be... There's the large great hall that you first entered into in the palace that extends literal hundreds of feet up into the sky. There are towers that poke out of the roof of that building that reach even higher, to the point where some of the tops of these towers are scraping the bottom of clouds. You are getting to an elevation that is almost unnatural, and you would feel the distinct difference in the density of the air as you are led up one of these towers. But eventually, you are led to the top, where there is this rather small laboratory built on one of the bigger kind of viewing platforms of one of the highest towers. As you're led up there, you would see this rather portly dwarf gentleman with a long white beard that trails under his legs and a few feet behind him everywhere he goes, is kind of moving about the various, books and tomes and things of his equipment before the servant's like, ahem, and gestures you both inside. It's Valoran and you, correct, sir?
Yeah.
He would whip around and kind of peer at you, and you can already see there is a tremendous amount of age on this dwarf. His skin is more wrinkles than features. It's hard to discern even where his eyes are because there's so much dense, loose skin kind of packed around him. But he peers beneath the flap of his skin and just... Yes.
His name is Gaglodon, right?
Gaglino. Gaglino.
Jarek would send forth a hand. Master Gaglino, this is Lord Athelvane, and I am Jarek Dissul of the Golden Hearts. The king has granted us quite a task ahead, and has offered your assistance with communication and a few other things. I was hoping that we could get to familiarize ourselves with you real quick while we prepare for the future. That way we may speak with each other over distances. Are you able to do so?
Yes.
Excellent. Jarek's still holding his hand out.
He would quickly snap his finger, and you would see him levitate a couple feet off the ground and become eye level with you, his beard now kind of dangling just against the surface of the ground, and he just floats gently towards you before he rests a hand on top of yours and very daintily lets you shake it.
Give him the old bartender's handshake. And nice to meet you. And then among other things, I was hoping you could assist with this, as the king did say you are, a master of your craft, and he'll pull out the metal ball. I'm unable to identify this myself, but I'm certain one of your stature should find it child's play.
You are a bard?
I do things, but unfortunately that one is not in my current repertoire.
That explains your ineptitude. Alright. He kind of looks down at the ball, and in the fraction of an instant, you see his eyes kind of spark to life. A little bit of magical energy kind of casting a dim light from the deep folds of his face, and then he just kind of like holds it back out to you. It is a ball of speech.
And what might that mean?
He kind of holds it up and then focuses in on it for a minute. You kind of tell just by the general aura around him that he is pouring some sort of magical energy into it, and then he looks up at you and goes, "Speak."
Oh, hello.
Kind of roll his eyes in his little deep sockets before he looks back at the ball, kind of shakes it a little bit. "Hello." And it would repeat your voice back to you perfectly, like mimicking your demeanor and your inflection and your accent, I guess.
It's literally just a recording device.
Yes.
Well, okay. Great. And the king did mention you are quite proficient with your craft. If you happen to have any offensive scrolls, we will be facing many trials. I know the war has great amounts of need, but what we face, the king has assured us, is extremely important.
Bod, you talk too much.
I have one job, yes, of course.
It is not my duty to equip one such as yourself.
I'm just curious, how many people come to you that have been given direct orders and tasks by the king?
Most everyone. Because I service the king and the people he employs.
Right, yes, well, nice to meet you. I'm sure the king will have you update us every week or so.
I will make it the top of my priority.
Yes, well, it's the destruction of the world if you don't, so...
If I had a gold for every time someone told me the world was ending, I'd be a very rich man, Bod.
No, I don't have anything to scare him. Okay, alright, yeah.
He would just gently hand you back the ball. It can store 10 seconds once a day and be replayed 5 times.
Thank you, we appreciate your service. And,
Lord Athelvane.
He just inclines his head.
And then he would turn around and float gently to the ground and return to his books.
turn to Valoran as they began to climb down the god-awful long amount of stairs. I don't know, Valoran, I don't know if we can use that. Maybe make a trap or something, but I'll play around with it. I'll see what I can do. And if it's not useful, I don't know. Should we just sell it? Maybe get the guys.
We're bound to
shoes.
hear. We're bound to hear something incriminating one of these days. It might be nice to have a way of storing that.
Jericho, nudge Valoran with an elbow. You know, at some point we do have to go back to folk, and I know how much your people love incriminating evidence.
Might be able to get a better price for it there than here, at any rate, just for that.
Very true, yeah.
Keep it for a while and sleep on it.
I hate to ask, did you ever figure out anything regarding the young mage that was there that night?
There has been no sign or information that I have been privy to since then.
That's unfortunate. We seem to have a lot of skeletons lurking about. If Hypatia is any indication.
But now we have the backing of a king.
True, that's nice. It is nice. Did you catch what he said about Decker's coffee? I've never had it myself.
How are you, Jarek?
If you really give him a look, Jarek's eyes have been bloodshot for days. Definitely has bags under his eyes. The smiles he'll give here and there are they reach the cheeks because that's the muscles, but there's just a dark, just a deep darkness burrowing within him. I'm great, of course. We're back on the road.
I am at your disposal.
Valoran, we've done a lot for each other, and it's had quite the change on our lives. But we have Tordan to deal with, and Novin, and it just weighs a lot. I know you were always very busy in your life. I ran a tavern. This has gotten so out of control. So out of control. And he'll put on his best customer service smile. But we are the Golden Hearts, and we will see it through. And hey, we've got some golden hands now, so we might actually succeed.
We must succeed. A clueless tavern keep no more.
Yeah, true, yeah. Well, I think this will be good. This will be good. The king was happy about his crown, somewhat. We've done the right thing. Almost trying to convince himself.
No one would blame you for being angry with me on top of everything else.
Valoran, why would I be upset? You've been there for me. You've saved my life. I've watched you face terrible things without batting an eye. We are, as you have said, friends. And this is said with a very just genuine feel behind it.
I feel the same way, Jarek. But I know that what I did was an intrusion.
As I said, the past is the past. We can't go on. And in truth, I was a fool. I was a fool. You don't recover from it the first time. You just pretend. And draw himself up. It's time to stop pretending. We have things to do. Too much to accomplish. To worry about so silly a thing as spouses or interpersonal relationships.
If
While we
I
have
thought that,
comrades.
if I thought that it was silly, I would have done nothing. We're going to be heroes of the realm, Jarek. But we also have lives.
That we do, Valoran. That we do. For now, anyways.
Well, in that case, let's make sure the others aren't getting totally ripped off.
Yes, he cut my hand, asshole. God.
So as Thor and Decker leave Oldis's emporium of stuff, would you all be going anywhere else? Back to the palace? What is your direction?
I'd have no other reason to be out.
Can't think of any reason. I guess the only thing I'd be looking out for is that person that I definitely remember the name of. I don't know, the guy that we sent to go get all the things for us.
Campbellton.
Yep, Campbell Soup.
Campbellton.
That guy. Yep, Campbellton. Just like seeing if I can see him anywhere, but like that's more out of curiosity, not like trying to track him down.
Yeah, you probably would not spot him in the distance you cover to get back to the palace, so. But I guess you all can meet either, like, so, outside of the giant structure of the main palace, there is this, like, compound of, like, a smaller city in the courtyard surrounding it. So I imagine you guys could all kind of meet up in that general area after you're done with your various activities for the day.
Sure. Yeah. I guess.
Any conversations we had there, or move on to when Campbellton returns?
I would just inform Seth that his sword sold for an adequate sum. Or
No.
Derek, rather.
Hopefully get some use.
I'm gonna. Well, as we're walking back, you would hear Thor talking to Decker, being like, "I can't believe you sold it for 6.5. We could have gotten 7. And now you just have some stupid lube glove." And then I'll address Valorant and then have the chunk of change and just kind of throw it over to him. Just be like, "We sold the sword since, nobody was using it. But it should hopefully help with the party funds that we just spent. All with love."
What did we give you for it?
6,500 gold.
Gold and a wondrous pair of gloves of lubing.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
They are gloves
Oh,
of lubing.
yeah, you heard it right.
They
No, I
produce
just...
at command up to 1 quart of lube per day.
Like, for the wagon axles?
I suppose whatever needs lubing. Jarek, it's...
I just want to say, I asked for 7 and was interrupted by, hey, we'll take some gloves and 6.5. And that's what we ended up with. So, all yours.
Well, you did give him the sword originally. No, I gave him the sword. Thor, you have no horse in that race.
What?
It's
What do you
okay.
mean?
It doesn't matter. Regardless,
Well-
6,500 gold should considerably boost our finances.
It does. And we'll find some use for the gloves, I'm sure.
Yes, we'll lube Minnie and Axel. Lube, lube, lube.
Thor will just be tracing back the lineage of the sword and then realize that he was the original owner of the sword and just mumble to himself.
All right. So
So-
Campbellton kind of suggested that he was going to go get all the preparations started, and it would take maybe like a day or two, but he was going to report back in sometime this evening, find you all again. So is there anything you're doing between now and then?
A den of iniquity?
What?
A whorehouse.
I'll tag along with him.
I don't
Okay.
have to RP that out, but that's just, I think
No,
that's kinda what
it's
this is
part
about.
of the game. No, yeah, that's-
Play it out, Seth.
The Glistening Globes is very successful. So.
Come on, Jarek, let's give these lubing gloves a whirl.
Well,
And
we've
now
got
you have-
time.
And now you have a ball of recording for 10 seconds so you can record the whole thing.
You can re-whore it.
Yeah, record the whole thing, yeah.
What have I done?
A
All right.
perfect storm.
So Jarek and Decker will do activities together.
Yeah. And in my just furthering my quest to keep him alcoholed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Thor and Valorant, are you up to anything during this time?
I want to go ahead and get that saddle that I asked about in the
Okay.
Discord. Just before we leave town, I don't need a scene for it, I don't think.
At any point, are you going to Oldis's for this saddle?
If that's where it would be, then yeah.
Okay, there might be something there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll accompany you, especially if you mention you're going to Aldis's.
So after returning from Aldis's Emporium, retracing your steps back there, knocking on the door, all that stuff, as you are brought in, Aldis would kind of look you up and down, Valorant, and then remember you, and it's like, ah, you were the Blood Cleaver man.
That's right. Marcus.
Yes. I sold it.
Indeed.
You want to know how much I got for it?
I'm just surprised that you would part with it.
It was a very good offer and a very strange individual.
I am listening.
He said his name was Novin. I've been hearing it around.
Can I insight check that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Never mind.
I have to believe that the context that you have heard this name would make you think twice about selling an artifact to such a man.
It does not matter to me if he is different.
That
I am
different
quite peculiar.
man. That different man is an enemy of the king, whose capital city you have set up shop in.
The king knows better than to come into here.
How long ago was this?
About a week ago. Yes.
Did he mention where he was going?
He said he was passing through.
Or where he came from? I guess that would also be good information.
I don't usually ask those particular questions when there is items to be sold and items to be bought.
Did you sell it for like 8,000?
Higher.
12.
Higher.
You sold it for higher than 12?
16,000 gold pieces.
Why are you telling us this?
Because I don't talk to anybody else.
Because we're his friends.
I see.
But Marcus, I'd like to thank you for your investment in my emporium. It was a rather profitable deal. Perhaps a gesture of kindness I should do. I think people tell me to do those.
What would that be?
You seem to be a man.
That's correct.
Men like power.
It is often necessary.
I shall return. Odds or evens?
Even.
Ah. Okay. He brings back a small silver pellet. It's about maybe half an inch in diameter. Kind of places it very gently in your hand. That is a ball of strength. Very exciting.
Tell me more.
You swallow it. Perhaps a little bit of liquid, but don't do it with any sort of caffeinated beverage. It settles with the stomach very poorly. A few hours later, you will see some impressive growth in your muscles. You can achieve glorious feats of strength. And then you pass out for several days.
I suppose I can imagine a time when that would be useful.
Yes. My gift to you.
I may have to use it to take that sword away from Novin.
I'll buy it back.
Noted.
Buy market.
So the satchel you want.
Yes, that's right.
Just one or two, maybe three.
Just one for myself. No one else seems to spend quite so much time in the saddle.
Well, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey, friend. I'll see you later.
I hope I don't.
You
Unless
will,
you want to
though.
sell the sword.
Find me something better and maybe.
A saddle?
Not better.
Before we go, that man, did he know that it was here?
He came in asking if certain individuals had been through, and then asked what they bought or they sold. And then he had some particular interest in what you had sold.
I see. What would it take for you to not share any similar information with such men in the future?
Well, Marcus, I think I would require something from you. But not money.
That is what I was asking.
There is a certain ring that would be the gemstone of my collection. It would rocket me into the Collector's Hall of Fame. The slight snag is it is, upon Emperor's finger up in the Pruitt Empire. If you bring me that, I would do a whole number of things for you.
Like revive us.
What the?
Oh, I thought we were all here together.
This isn't a whole house.
Decker pops out of the woman.
The whorehouse is on the
It's right next
downstairs.
to you.
Yes, well, I'll bear that in mind.
For what it's worth, this Novan character told me he would get it for me, but we shall see.
What did he ask for in return?
For me to guard something for him. Jesus Christ.
Did he tell you what he wanted you to guard?
Yes.
Oh, well, I thought he just said, I want you to guard something for me at some point.
No.
So what are you guarding for him?
Well, that's a secret.
If you require the ring in order to stop sharing secrets, and you don't yet have it.
But the difference is the big man has the sword that I want, and now I have something he wants.
You should know that if he's successful, the world and all the collectibles within it will turn to dust.
True. But then no one can outdo my collection.
But you won't be around to flash your collection.
Do you think I'm flashing my collection? Look at the state of it. I'm not showing this to anybody. It is for myself.
But nobody will even... Okay, so nobody even knows that you have it. But you want to be the best collector. But nobody knows it?
I sleep at night because I know that I have the best collection.
How do you know?
Have you heard of any other emporiums of stuff? I think not.
Not that I told you about. That's my secret.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I wasn't trying to be congratulated, but it's fine.
I didn't want to start some blood feud with you all, but I thought I would let you know.
But you can't, give us a hint as to what it is?
It's something magical.
Well, of course it's something magical. Anything else?
No.
Have I ever shown you what this thing can do?
I would love to see you try.
I wasn't threatening you, I was just asking you.
It sounded like a threat.
I told you we were friends.
Friends don't keep secrets from each other, so we are not friends.
That's right, because you're keeping a secret from me.
If you give me that sword, I will tell you my secret.
That's not how friendship works.
We are not friends.
Then don't keep secrets from me and we can be friends.
I don't want to be your friend.
Yes, you do.
I have things to do. Are we done?
Play me for it. Dragon
Okay.
chess. A secret for a secret.
What secret are you offering?
You'll have to beat me at dragon chess.
Oh, that is not fair. How about this? Bet the sword. And then I will play you.
Or I can't ask you to do that.
I can't even ask me to do that. I'd be fighting with my fists.
How about this? Aldous, a person who has a better collection than you.
I think you are lying to me, sir.
I am not lying. You would have to examine his collection for yourself in order to know for certain, but he is older and more powerful.
All right, we shall play. Alrighty.
I finally get to use my dragon chess proficiency.
I don't know if this is the best chance of success, but we shall see. Okay. So what we're doing 3 intelligence rolls, right?
I do not know how playing dragon chess works.
I think that's
I
how we've
just know
done
that
it
I'm
in the
proficient
past.
in it.
Yeah. So what we'll do is it's intelligence rolls, and then you would add your proficiency modifier because you're proficient with it. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
All right. I'll roll it in the roll 20 so you guys can see. You want to go ahead and give us our first one?
D20.
Oh, what? How do you add an advantage to a roll?
You just put plus.
Gotcha. Okay. Is it slash or I haven't done this in so long?
You're saying he has advantage on his dragon chess?
He has a very large bonus to his intelligence modifier. But go ahead and hit us with your first one, sir. So, as the game begins, he floats down to the ground as you kind of sit cross-legged in the front of his shop, and he sets up this very old kind of mismatched set of dragon chess. He kind of gives you a little smarmy look, very excited that he's going to learn about this supposed other treasure hoarder, and he starts moving his pieces around rather deftly, and you realize that perhaps this is something that he does on the regular to keep himself entertained. But yes, he has the upper hand at this point. You want to give us a second roll? Okay.
Come on.
Oh,
No.
Damn it.
since it's so close, I will just give him a +1 to his next roll, since he's one above you on this roll. Give you a desperate attempt to match him again.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So as he just continues to outmaneuver you at every turn, almost kind of like rolling excitedly back and forth on this pot. That's kind of like bum as like each move keeps getting progressively worse and worse for you. Eventually, he pins you into the corner and he's like, "All right, who?"
Oh, a bet is a bet.
Indeed.
His name is Chorman.
Aha.
His home is south of Thrice Tower.
Aha. Chorman,
That's right.
the fire god.
If that's how you know him.
You're not shitting me.
No,
No.
we call him friend though, because his real name is like Telbius Quasimodo something. Hold on. I'll think of it if I can find it.
You are telling me that an ancient fire god that is believed to be a myth has a collection south of Thrice Tower.
He's living there. And his home is only visible under... What were the circumstances, Thor? We had to leave lest we be trapped forever, something along those lines.
Yeah, I think at like midnight, everybody in there except for him dies.
Oh,
So,
yes, I
like,
know that one.
yeah. So, but we could see it past the barrier. It was like an invisible barrier that hid it.
Who are you people?
Or the Golden Hearts.
You're the Golden Heart? Aren't you the ones tracking Novin?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Well, then it seems that I might have to, leave my emporium. Well, it was a great game.
One more little hint as a consolation prize.
I didn't think that someone as proud as yourself would stoop to begging, but I like it. It is something that he will need in case of a rather bad chain of events.
Well, Thor, I think we've done all the damage we can for one day.
I believe so. We're also going to see friends soon, by the way. So he may not be there when you get there, depending on what happens.
Well, if his collection is as big as mine, then he can't just move it.
He's pretty powerful. I don't know what he can do. He put somebody's soul back into their body.
You witness this?
Yeah.
No more freebies, Thor.
Oh, yeah, right.
We'll say good day.
If we were friends, and I'll just
But we're
walk
not.
out. I'll just walk out.
Alright, that was a chain of events.
I thought the dragon chest thing was such a good idea.
Oh, it was...
On anyone but that man.
I want to point out how much that's probably gonna fuck us over. Oh God.
What do you mean?
Well, yeah, what do you mean?
Well, he is connected to Novin on a semi-friendly term.
Friend's a strong term.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're connected on about the same level.
He's all about the transaction, which
Yeah, but
which I wanted to know about. And if he goes and fucks with Chorman, he'll get wiped out of existence. Chorman can take all this.
Yeah, but what if Charmant likes all this because
Well-
he's weird or has ancient items?
Like I said, he's not going to get to because we're gonna free him.
Not if Aldous does it first.
Aldous isn't going there anytime soon.
We don't know. We're busy.
No, we're not.
We just happen to have a spy network that can keep an eye on that sort of thing.
So, as Valor and Thor return from their triumphant information gathering, and Decker and Jarek return from the same, as the evening winds down in the palace, I imagine you would all roughly agree to meet back up at that dining hall at the end of the day. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So as Thor and Valor return in moderate spirits, and Decker and Jarek return in slightly higher spirits, Campbellton would be kind of sitting there, like waiting for everybody to gather, and once you all do is, well, I have been rather busy today. It seems that I have gotten everything in motion. The, I guess, caravan escorts of people that are going to travel with us will be ready by tomorrow afternoon. We're waiting on one of them who had to deal with some debts, but that shall be dealt with, and then the rest of the spies shall begin communicating with the one that we are bringing with us.
I have to know what kind of debts. We can't afford to have someone who has ties to unfortunate circumstances.
I assure you, Mayor Dissel, that everyone that I hire and bring along will be clear of any entanglements that might impede our progress.
Jarek does have a good point. What you think might be an impediment, or lack thereof, we might disagree. Any chance you could just clear that up for him?
That is what we are working on for tomorrow, and then is when he will be ready to depart.
But the nature of his debts.
He is a avid cowfish race gambler.
Well, pedestrian enough. You satisfied, Jarek?
Tonight, yes, that's fine.
Sir Campbellton, everyone, upon my visit to Aldis's Emporium, are you familiar with it?
Sadly, yes.
We learned that Novin himself shopped there just a week ago.
Is
Wait,
this how
how-
information usually works in this group?
I'm not sure what you mean.
It seems rather, I don't know, strange that revelations of that size are just cast into the room. I apologize. So, he was in Freeside City a week ago, and went to the Emporium.
One of them was. Yep.
And he bought a weapon there, and he reached a deal with Aldis to have some sort of contingency guarded by him. Aldis has no fear of the king, by the way.
Yes, that is, a consistent problem.
I thought since the whole purpose of the Golden Hand is to oppose Novin, that I would share this with the group at the earliest opportunity.
Yes, I'm sorry that I reacted poorly. I'm not quite used to this thing. Is there any fear that we should search the city? Do you think he's planning something similar to Kraylin, or has something going on?
He said he was passing through.
Jarek will minor illusion kind of a broad map across the table. How far do you think he could get in a week?
If he's on foot, and he left here a week ago.
Assume on horse, just in case.
On horse, he could be quite some distance. He could be all the way in the north of the Pruitt Empire at this point, but on foot,
This is Novin we're talking about. There's no reason to assume that this could be any one of his doppelgangers. I don't think we gain anything by trying to chase him. We should chase the pieces of Tordan.
I was going to compare pieces of Tordan to his potential outreach within a week.
Well, he did say something about getting a... Well, I guess Aldous said something about getting the ring off of the Emperor of the Pruitt Empire.
Yes, he has mentioned that before. I don't think that anybody is going to see that particular task through, so I think we're somewhat safe there.
Novin can do it. It's only a matter of time.
Well, if Novin can bring down the might of the Pruitt Empire, there's a lot more to worry about than Aldous getting his ring.
His goal is to bring down the world. I think a single empire is not going to be much of a concern for one who has what appears to be his exceptional resources and unbending willpower.
Say nothing of the personal backing of a deity.
You all really know how to keep a good outlook on our endeavors.
We gain nothing by sugarcoating the situation.
I wasn't attempting to sugarcoat, I was simply stating that if the Pruitt Empire falls before we can stop his momentum, then I fear for our success.
At any rate, I'm not sure what to do with this information at this point other than let it be known. And clearly Aldous' must be watched.
Or
Clearly.
could you have all the mages at your disposal just burn that shit to the ground? It's a thought.
I want to get all the way into it because it doesn't quite fully apply here, but there was an incident trying to remove Aldous. It must be around 80 years ago at this point, and did not go well, so we tried to leave him be.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
I have reason to believe he'll be investigating Thrice Tower soon.
Is that your way of saying that is our next destination, or?
No, not ours.
But it is.
No, Thor, we have more important things to do.
No, we don't. I told you I was going there. I told everyone here I was going there.
We need Tordan pieces.
We can still get the Tordan pieces.
Thor, how about that? Let's get our Tordan piece first, because...
No.
Okay.
No, this happened the last time. Nope.
Why don't you go talk to the king and ask him if he's okay with us taking this particular detour? Otherwise, we should probably do what we were contracted to do.
Is that what it'll take? You need me to go ask the king about this?
Well, I mean, he already gave us autonomy. It's not a... He's not giving us directions. He just said, get this done.
With the implication being, get it done now?
Yeah.
I'd hate to interrupt. I'm trying to be as hands-off as I can be in your very adept decision-making, but what is at Thrice Tower that we are so concerned about?
A literal god.
A powerful wizard.
A A literal god.
It potential help in our quest. Perhaps.
Could I get a guess as to what god, wizard is there?
You ever heard of Choramon?
Yes.
Yeah, that's who is there.
I'm really gonna have to get used to these bigger reveals. This is
We just returned the Crown of Memories to your father.
Yes, I did hear about that one.
So it's maybe it's just interesting times we live in. Fuck it,
Yes.
Thrice Tower. You've got my vote, Thor.
Let's go!
Could possibly go wrong.
Love of gods.
I will. Trollman isn't exactly known for being a forgiving deity.
He seems to like that one well enough.
We're friends. We're pretty good friends. I even have a piece, well, a semi-piece of him.
Why do you want to go there again?
Because we're freeing him. That's the point.
And
are?
having him
Let-
having him sealed away was just a fluke. People just accidentally said, "Hey, God of Flames, we don't want you here by accident." No,
Didn't you
Dorothy.
say he was? Did you say he was the god of time?
What?
I don't remember. You said something about him being a god.
There's things. There's
Yeah,
no.
Look,
He's the fire god. That's
everyone, just the reason I believe it might be a good idea is we're a little short on leads. If we can manage to pass that way, perhaps some good will come of it.
Also, we have another person that we need to stop by on the way. And I'm not forgetting about it. You remember those people we saved from the centaurs?
Why did we need to visit them again?
Didn't they say to stop by? Somebody said to stop by.
Oh, after
just-
Thor, after you save the world, feel free to visit whomever you wish.
No, but I swear they said to stop by.
do you need to know how they are?
Didn't they say to stop by?
Sure.
What else would they say after you save their lives?
I don't know. Maybe they're like, oh hey, we saw Novin rolling this way.
Thor, you're being unreasonable now. Take your victory in that you've got some support to visit your friend, Tormund.
I'm just saying we can stop by there since it's on the way.
Saying sometimes you should know when to shut the fuck up. It's a skill.
We have bigger
Developing.
things to deal with, Thor.
This is a very big thing. I feel like a god is something that's pretty big.
Yes, the god is big. These other people you're talking about are not.
I'm just saying
Jericho's
they're on the
gonna-
way.
Jericho is going to send to. I lost that section of my notes in the loss
Mark.
of a computer. Mark. So Jarek will just send over to Mark. Mark, it's Jarek, Centaur thing. How are you? How is the family? Is everything okay? You can talk back to me. Okay.
It's 25 words.
Which I believe gives me 4 that I didn't use.
Okay, let me see if I can... This is not how I expected this one to go. Jarek, it is great to hear from you. You all allowed me to witness my son's birth. We named him Jarek after you. Yeah.
So?
Yeah, don't worry about him. It just he's fine. He had a kid, named him Jarek.
They named the kid after you?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that one. That's too much. Okay, good. Out of the way. Do you want me to just send over to Choramon? I know how much y'all don't like me talking to people over that, but
What good is that gonna do?
I have no clue. Maybe warn him that other people are after him, and he'll just kill whoever comes over there. Hey, there you go. Goodbye, Aldous.
But nobody's worried about, like, he's not worried about people coming to kill him.
That's why I tell him. That's why I tell him that, Thor.
No, but like, okay.
Look, just saying. Sealed for a reason. Should not be released. At least right now, when we have zero information other than he's kind of a cool guy.
But why can't we get that information? Nobody's even trying. I'm the only person out here trying to figure out anything to do with him. You are just leaving him in a tower when he could be a very key part of this whole thing.
Then send the spies. Get the information through the spies. We can't ask him if he's a good guy. Everyone you ask, are you a good guy? They're going to be like, yeah, I'm a pretty good guy for myself.
I was told we would go there after this.
All right.
And he's with me.
This is the closest we're bound to be to Thrice Tower for a long time, as far as we know. But we have to make it fast.
Yep. Quick in, out, slice 2 towers, get him out of the tower, and bring him with us.
Would it be preferable if just the handful of us departed with great haste there, and then came back for the caravan?
Or had the caravan follow in our wake?
Or meet us across
On the road to
mountain.
Leonis.
Or that.
That's what I am here for.
Very good. We'll meet the caravan on the road to Leonis. We'll find a crossroads on a map. And whoever gets there first will wait for the other. While we go to visit Choraman.
3.
Can we get the world map real quick?
Yeah.
Or at least the Giles Kingdom map.
Yeah. Here you go. So the crossroad, like right there, I would imagine is ideal.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you're gonna be passing through Pella's Wish again.
No, we're not.
That's too close to Roy's Bazev. I was thinking that we go.
Okay, yeah.
Probably
Southwest
down,
way.
yeah.
Okay.
Ah, fuck. Okay.
So, what I imagine Brandon would recommend is tomorrow morning you all setting off in that direction, and then the caravan will head out of Freeside City in the afternoon and plan to meet at that crossroad. Okay. Well, then, is there anything the group is doing between this evening and tomorrow morning when you all depart?
Eating dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoring it up.
Can I, like, when nobody's around, pray to make sure that I'm doing the right thing?
Give me a wisdom check.
Why do you even ask? Why don't I just say
Why
no?
do you ask?
We're still. Are you have to wait for nobody to be around? We're still doing our.
Because I don't want you to give me doubt.
I mean, if you and Ironpot and Valorant are all doing your prayers to Aerovica together, I will give you wisdom with advantage then, if you want to reroll.
I guarantee you this is going to be worse. A 16? Well, a 15/16 is good for me.
There isn't any indication not to.
Okay. And just to be clear, I'm asking specifically about like freeing Choramon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just want to make sure before I did it.
All right. Anything else from the group?
Don't think so.
Oh,
Well,
I could do something if you want to. Well, I don't know how long.
what do you want to do, sir?
I just want to have a conversation with Valoran.
Go for
That's
it.
it. So.
What the fuck?
That's gonna be
What?
the countryside.
Oh,
after we get
shut
done
up,
with
Jay.
Such a doomsday person. So this was gonna be on our walk back from the shop, but now it's flamed up even worse. So, I imagine once we're doing our afternoon prayers, whatever, after that, I'm just gonna pull Valorant to the side. Valorant, I have a very serious question.
Yes, Thor. What is it?
Why does nobody trust me with anything? I tried to sell the rapier, and instead it got taken out of my hands and sold for 500 gold less, and the lube gloves. I tried to... I prayed. I didn't get a bad feeling about Friend. Nobody wants to look into that. Nobody wants to do anything about it, even though it could be... Okay. Except for Decker. Nobody wants to look into it, do anything about it. I've tried to ask people about it. Got nothing.
The two things that I would say are... From my perspective, as far as Chormon goes, we are tripping over world-ending eldritch horrors, and I just don't know about opening the latches on yet another one.
But, like, if I'm wrong, let's just say that I'm wrong, and we are releasing a fire dragon that rains terror on the land. Isn't that already going to happen just in a year?
That is true, but we're trying to stop it, and the time...
Well, yeah, I'm not saying we're not going to try to stop this if it's that way, but every inclination that I've had has not told me that he is a bad person or that he means any harm to us. If he wanted to, he could have not told us about the, hey, by the way, everybody dies at midnight, so you should probably leave. Could have just not told us that, killed us, and then just taken all of our stuff. And he could do that to probably anybody that goes in there. But he doesn't, right?
We don't understand him. We don't understand his nature. We don't understand what keeps him there. That he doesn't seem to entirely recall who he is himself.
That's because he's trapped there.
And what if what he remembers when he's no longer trapped is that he also wants to burn the world? Just try to see it from their point of view, Thor.
I see that. I see it.
We already have to save the world once. If we have to save it twice, the odds, they go down, Thor.
Okay. But now listen to my side. Can you just trust me for once that I've thought about this a little bit? And I understand the danger that goes into it, but every part of what we do is dangerous. I almost died in an old lady's mind. I almost got apparently like evaporated or something. I don't know what was at the end of that Novid's finger. Jarek I'm pretty sure his wrist broke by a leg or something.
I think that the other part of this situation is that the others think that you are, at times, impulsive. But if you are telling me, if you will look me in the eye from one folkish nobleman to another, and tell me that you have thought long and hard about Chorman and his situation, then I believe you.
I'll just pause for like a solid 5 seconds, possibly reflecting if I have thought about this for as long as I think I have. I've thought very long about this. Only recently has more evidence come my way that tells me that he's connected to the towers and that he's connected to everything. I just don't know exactly how. But I believe that setting him free is not a bad thing. And it can. I personally, truly believe he will help us.
All right,
I tingled about it a little bit.
I believe what you are saying. I believe that you believe what you say you believe. So
Thank you.
we are going to look into it. Let's try to find out just a little more before we commit to attempting to free him. Can we say that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to find out more, but you guys don't even want to go anywhere near there.
We're going now. We've already agreed.
Yes, we are. And if you weren't, I was going.
Well, we're all going now.
All right. After that roller coaster of events, we shall end the session there.